your ears because I got a very important lesson for you today. In my new book, which is really, really right about to be published, it'll be coming out in March. It's Meditations on Mastery, and we changed the subtitle to Developing Your Superpowers, right? Because I've started calling our foundational black belt attributes superpowers, because I really think that they are. And at the end of today's class, I'm gonna talk to you more about those superpowers, all of them that we want you to develop first on the way to becoming a black belt. But the one specifically that we're going to talk about today, where'd my black marker go? There we go. The one specifically that we're going to talk about today is confidence. And confidence is one of my favorite superpowers, because confidence is one that kind of puts fuel and power into all the rest. Like, you can honestly have several of the other superpowers or just things that you're great at, but because of a lack of confidence, not be able to share those gifts with the world. So one of the first things that we try to develop in our future black belt leaders is confidence. But confidence is actually a form of something that I've been teaching a lot on lately. I've been writing on and on my podcast, so I don't know if any of you have seen any of it. I've been talking about trust. And the team and I are reading a great book, which I recommend everybody reads, by Dr. Stephen Covey's son, Stephen M.R. Covey. And the book is called The Speed of Trust. And in fact, everything I'm about to share with you, I took from that book in transparency. But I'm sure that Stephen Covey is very, very happy that I'm sharing it with you today. So trust, and when we talk about trust, that's the more common word. And usually when we think about trust, we think about, do we trust somebody else? In reality, though, there's two important trusts, right? Just like there's two important confidence. Trust in others and trust in ourselves. And how do we gain trust? What is the thing that causes us to trust somebody, including ourselves? It's another C word. And the word is credibility. And you've probably heard the word credibility before, right? But ironically, you probably heard it in a negative context, right? You heard it like in a court of law or something. Like, is it a credible witness? Is it right? Because credibility just does mean, what is the amount of trust that I can give this person? Are they credible? Credibility is relevant to everything. Your sensei have to have credibility. If your sensei didn't have credibility with you, then the rest of the process could not work. Because if you don't believe, you can't achieve, right? So the next question would be, and hopefully some of you are thinking it, well, then how do you develop credibility? What does credibility mean? And there's two more C's. When we talk about credibility, there's really two parts to it. There's credibility, which is character. And in fact, if you were guessing what I was going to say, that's probably the one most people thought about. When most people think about trust, when most people think about credibility, they think of character. But there is another piece that has to be there. Anybody have any guess? Want to say what it is, Sensei? Consistency is part of this one. Sensei. Competence. Give them 2 claps. Because character, and we're going to talk more, I'm going to get even more specific for you, but character involves a lot of the other things that we teach here, right? We call the principles of the black belt, right? Principles of the black belt are courtesy, modesty, integrity, perseverance, self-control, and the indomitable spirit. And we know that our black belts develop those on the way to becoming black belts, and that is character. But even if one of my black belts became a sensei and had all of those things, would you trust them to teach you if their martial arts sucked?
No, sir.
No, you wouldn't, would you? If they couldn't perform good martial arts, if they couldn't teach in a way that caused you to learn good martial arts, you wouldn't want to learn from them. Any more then, who trusts me very much? Raise your hand if you trust me. Good, I'm so happy. Who would trust me to perform surgery on you? No one, right? No one. Why? Sir. Right, because in that area, I do not have competence. I haven't been to medical school. I'm not a doctor. So we need both. Now, when we talk about character, there are two cores that create character, and these two are I's. The first one, and somebody's already thinking about it because we use this word a lot, is integrity. And the second one is intent. Integrity, when most people think about integrity, they think about the word honesty, right? Think about honesty. But I'm here to tell you that when we talk about integrity, we mean even more than that. When we teach integrity, we say, sometimes I say it to you guys, and I'm sure all the sensei say it to you guys when you're doing jumping jacks in your line, right? They say integrity is about doing the right thing even when no one is watching. That's one of the many faces of integrity. Here's another one. Integrity, and I got this definition from the Army many, many years ago. Integrity means that we say what we mean and we mean what we say. Both. Because, oh, by the way, when most people think integrity, again, they're thinking the one that I say what I mean. They're thinking the one that I don't lie, that I don't cheat, I don't steal. And all those things are important. But do I follow through on the things that I say I will do? That's integrity too. And by the way, when you were shaking your head, you were thinking about yourself probably, right? And that's okay because everybody in truth feels that sometimes. But that's the point. See, in order to trust yourself, you have to develop integrity with yourself. And the way we develop integrity with ourselves is when we say, I will do whatever the thing is, you have to do it. At least you have to do it more times than you don't. Because if you tell yourself, I'm going to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to exercise or to read or to whatever, and one day you hit the clock and you don't get up. And then the next day you hit the clock and you don't get up. And the next day you know what you will eventually tell yourself? You will tell yourself, why am I setting this clock? I'm obviously not going to get up. Right? You've lost integrity with yourself. So keep this in mind because it's so important. By the way, here we teach people how to have integrity in that way too. I don't think we talk about it enough, but the last line of our student code says, quitters never win and winners never quit. Everybody that's wearing this blue top made a commitment to become a black belt leader one day. Right? You signed something saying, and I'm not challenging your integrity. I believe all of you are going to do it, by the way, to be clear. But I'm saying, if you don't, you've just broken integrity to yourself and to me and to everybody else that's helping you. Because that's what integrity means, is that we do what we say we're going to do. Us. But what about intent? What if your sensei did have the character and they did have the competence? I mean, they had the character, meaning they have the integrity piece and they have the competence, but you don't believe they have your best interest in mind. You don't believe that they care about you, Matthew. Would you trust that sensei? No. We also have to believe that the other person's intent is good. And then there's two things in the competence too. As you can tell, I could go very deep on this, but I've realized that I've been talking a long time, so I'm going to go a little faster. There's two things on the competence too. The first one is abilities. And that's what we kind of already talked about, right? Like every Krav Maga martial arts instructor must be a great Krav Maga martial artist first, right? You have to actually have the abilities. You have to have the fruit on the tree. But even that is not really enough to create trust, at least the ultimate trust. This last one, I think you need, I almost said the most important. That's not what I meant to say, because you need all of these. But I do believe that this is the one that begets trust more than any other thing. Results. In other words, Here's the example. Since I've stayed with the dojo example, and I could give the example in lots and lots of different places, professions, right? But let's use our dojo. Why not, right? There's a sign over there that says this is a black belt school. And in fact, Sensei Burley and I just decided today we're going to take these down and move them, and we're going to put it there too. This is a black belt school. If we say this is a black belt school and we don't produce black belts, or we don't produce good black belts, are we really a black belt school? No. No, and I'm going to tell you, and true story. Back when I opened the school in October of 2000, I already had a specific model in my mind of the psychology of the way we would teach. And this gentleman that ran a different school that was a competitor came into my school one day, and he said these words. He said, and because all I was talking about was positive reinforcement, building the student from the inside out, creating trust first. And these were his words. He said, you can do all that stuff if you want, but you'll never produce a good black belt. Now, the point of the story, the reason I share the story is because back then it was just my word against his. There was no reason for anybody to trust that what I believed was true, other than my word. But when we started producing the best black belts anywhere, who were not only the best black belts in mind and spirit and character and integrity and courtesy and modesty and all the things, but were physically superior to the schools that didn't teach that way, nobody challenges it anymore. And you guys see it, right? Let's bring it closer to home. When you look at Shihan Harley and Sensei Church and Sensei Beerley and Shihan Borton and any of the rest of them, do you feel like, wow, I cannot wait to be like that one day? Raise your hand if you do. That's trust, right? And it's trust because of what? The results. All the other things too, but they are the results. Every black belt leader, which every one of you is going to be, by the way, is a testament and proof of the results of the system. And by the way, not just the ones that stayed on to teach. Also the ones we got in the Army and the Navy and the Air Force Marines, the ones we have off doing ministry, the ones we have all around the world leading in different places, right? And oh, by the way, not only are they leading in those different places, but if little Sensei Julie, who's a ministry worker in Cherokee, ever gets attacked, I pity the fool. So it's real all the way around.